नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नाश्रये शब्देषु नित्यं भगवत्सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। एते चंसा कलपुंसं कृष्णस्तु भगवान् स्वयं इन्द्रियार्व्याकुलं लोकं हृद्यन्ते युगे युगे। कृष्णावनन्ति स कृष्णं संगोपंगस्तपसदं यज्ञसंकीर्तय भय यजन्ते सुमेरसः। नाम संकीर्तनं यस्य सर्वपापप्रणाशनं प्रणमदुःखशमनस्तं नमामि हरिं परम्। So we are reading from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, second chapter, text number 55. Etad ishanam ishasya prakritisto pitad gunai na yujjate sadatmastair yata buddhis tadashraya. Etad ishanam ishasya prakritisto pitat gunai na yujjate sadatmastair tata buddhis tadashraya. Etad ishanam ishasya prakritisto pitat gunai na yujjate sadatmastair yatha buddhis tadashraya. Etadishanam ishasya prakritisto pitad gunai na yujjate sadatmastair yatha buddhis tadashraya. Etadishanam ishasya prakritisto pitad gunai na yujjate sadatmastair yatha buddhis tadashraya. Etadishanam ishasya prakritisto pitad gunai na yujjate sadatmastair yatha buddhis tadashraya. Etadishanam ishasya prakritisto pitad gunai na yujjate sadatmastair yatha buddhis tadashraya. Matajis. Etadishanam ishasya prakritisto pitad gunai na yujjate sadatmastair yatha buddhis tadashraya. Itadeshanam eshasya Prakritisto pitad gunai Nayujjate sadatmastair Yatha buddhistadashraya. Etad, this, Ishanam, opulence, Ishasya, of the Supreme Lord, Prakritista, situated in the material nature, Api, although, Tat, of Maya, Gunai, by the qualities, Na, not, Yujjate, is affected, Sada, always, Atmastai, which are situated in his own energy, Yatha, as also, Buddhi, the intelligence, Tat, of him, Ashraya, which has taken shelter. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation. This is the opulence of the Lord. Although situated in a material nature, He is never affected by the modes of nature. Similarly, those who have surrendered to Him and fixed their intelligence upon Him are not influenced by the modes of nature. Purport. This text is from Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st Canto, 11th chapter, text number 38. Those who have taken shelter of the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead do not identify with the material world even while living in it. Pure devotees may deal with the three modes of material nature, but because of their transcendental intelligence and Krishna consciousness, they are not influenced by the material qualities. The spell of material activities does not attract such devotees. Therefore, the Supreme Lord and His devotees acting under Him are always free from contamination. Om Ajnanatirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakasodan Militam Yenam Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Sayam Rupakadamayam Dadati Sapadantikam Bandeham Sri Guru Sri Yota Padakamalan Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadhaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakan Vidamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Govika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastude Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshari Vrishabhano Sude Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Paritanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivajari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here in the second chapter of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is establishing that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the Mangalacharan, in the beginning of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the first chapter is glorifying Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And specifically, the third verse which is mentioned there, that is also mentioned here in the beginning of the second chapter. Yad Advaitam Brahmanupashidadi Tad Apyasya Tanubha Ya Atma Antar Yami Purushaiti Sosyam Sabivaba Sad Aishwarya Purna Ya Iha Bhagavan Sasayamayat Na Chaitanyat Krishna Jagadi Paratatvam Paramyaha. Explaining that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is none different from Krishna. And the Krishna, as we know from the Bhagavatam also and by all the great sages, the saintly persons, the Krishna is Swami Bhagavan, the original personality of Godhead. As explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Ete chamsa kalapum sam Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indriyar Vyakulam Lokam Ridyante Yuge Yuge. Krishna is Swami Bhagavan, meaning the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not different from Krishna. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahanya. So, he is Krishna himself, but he has come with the power, with the mood and the luster, duty of Srimati Radharani. And so in this verse it is explained that Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they are the source of the Brahmajyoti, which the impersonalists are trying to attain. They are trying to merge in the Brahmajyoti, which is Krishna's effulgence. Tadapi asya tanubha. Tanubha. Tanu means the body, transcendental form of the Lord, of Mahaprabhu or Krishna. And Bha, that means the effulgence. And then Atma Antaryami. Antaryami Purushaha. So that refers to the Paramatma. Asya Amsa Vibhava. So that is also again a partial manifestation, expanded form of Krishna or Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Sad Aishwarya Purna Yaya Bhagavan Sasayamayam. And both Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Krishna, they are Swayam Bhagavan, Sad Aishwarya Purna, full with all opulences, specifically 6 opulences are mentioned. So the Yasha, fame, Krishna is most famous, or Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, amongst the saintly devotees and all the incarnations. They glorify Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Krishna as the Supreme Lord. Virya, so strength. Krishna and Mahaprabhu, especially Krishna is showing his physical strength also by lifting Govardhan hill and killing so many demons very easily. Whereas Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is showing transcendental strength, giving this transcendental knowledge. Although he is the Supreme Lord, but he is coming as a devotee to show us how to worship Krishna. Taking shelter of Srimati Radharani, the Brijabasis, we can approach Krishna, Swami Bhagavan Krishna in Braj. So Rup, Sundarya, Krishna and Mahaprabhu, they are most beautiful. Unparalleled beauty is there of both Mahaprabhu and Krishna. So opulence. Krishna in Braj, of course, is performing his wonderful pastimes with his associates, and the opulence is covered by the sweetness. But still we have to understand that Golok, where Brajendananda Shyamasundar is residing, that is the most opulent abode of the Lord. And similarly, Mahaprabhu, because he is not different from Radha Krishna, so therefore all the opulence is also there in Navadvip. And so it is not different from Braj. Navadvip. But still difference is there. Simultaneously they are one and different. And Chitta Beda Beda Tattva, Mahaprabhu has explained himself. Everything is not different from Krishna, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. At the same time, there's this difference also. So here specifically, so the previous verse was explaining about the Purushavatars, the Mahavishnu, Garvadakshay Vishnu and Kshirodakshay Vishnu. And they are simply, so they are expanded forms of Krishna or Mahaprabhu. Krishna is Mool Roop, and then Balaram is the first expansion, and then Chaturvyu is there in Dwarka, Vasudev, who is expanded form of Krishna, Vasudev Krishna, and Shankarshan Balaram, and then Krishna's son and grandson, Pradumna and Aniruddha. They are known as Chaturvyu. And then from Mool Shankarshan, from Balaram, the second Chaturvyu, Vasudev, Shankarshan, Pradumna, and Aniruddha are manifested. They are Vishnu Murtis. And then, so from the most prominent, Shankarshan, known as Mahashankarshan, so the three Purushavatars have manifested. Mahavishnu, when the material world is manifested, and first Mahavishnu is entering, and then after, from him unlimited universes are emanating, and in each universe Garbhadakshay Vishnu is entering, and then Kshirodakshay Vishnu is also manifested, the third Purushavatar. And this is, has been explained, although they are situated in this material world, and it appears to be there's some touch because they are situated in this world, but at the same time they are transcendently situated always. Just as Krishna, when Krishna is coming, or Mahaprabhu. So they are always transcendental. So that is indicated here in this verse. Etad Ishanam Ishasya. Ishasya of the Supreme Lord. Isha means the Lord, the Supreme Lord. Ishwar or Isha or Bhagavan. So different words are there in Sanskrit to explain one object. So here referring to the Supreme Lord. Isha, Ishasya. So of the Supreme Lord. Ishanam, the opulence. So as explained, there's unlimited opulence is there in the spiritual realm. And even when Krishna is manifested here, then the opulence is there also. All that is covered, first of all, by sweetness, transcendental sweetness, but then even further on in this material world, there's a subtle covering of the transcendental abode, which is there in the form also of material nature. That is explained, has been explained by the acharyas. Therefore, unqualified people, they cannot see Krishna. Although Krishna is here, always. Because Braj here in this world is not different from Braj in the transcendental world. But it is situated in the material world, but it is transcendental. But only those who have love for Krishna, the pure devotees, Premanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadeva Hiryeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundaram Achinti Gunasarupam Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. The pure devotees whose eyes are anointed with the salve of love, love of Godhead, they can see Santa Sadeva, always and everywhere. In their heart, but not only their heart, they can see Krishna everywhere, in everyone's heart. Yam Shama Sundaram, so they can see the beautiful form of Shama Sundar, the pure devotees. So even in this world, but the other persons who are in the most material nature, they cannot see, because there's a covering there of the holy abode. And also, for that matter, the conditioned souls who are here, even though they may say, I am in Vrindavan, but actually they are not really in Vrindavan. They are on Vrindavan. They are on the covering of Vrindavan, which we can see with the material eyes. With the material eyes, you can certainly not see Krishna. You can see the dirt which is there now. Of course, 40 years ago, when I first came, it was much more beautiful. and there were not so many houses, a beautiful parikrama mark. There were no plastic bags and no plastic bottles, not so much garbage. So we could more, better see Braj. There were so many more gardens, and we could see the peacocks, we could hear the parrots always flying around here. And of course now, by Krishna's mercy, this year, Yamuna is really Yamuna. Other times, when, there was a cyclone, because of that there was more rain, already early mid-June, and in the mountains also it rained profusely, therefore they had to open the dam, which they have for Jamuna Devi to get some electricity. And usually otherwise even there is hardly any water in the Jamuna. I've been one time to the dam because I wanted to see the Yamuna Nagar. So 2 places actually they have a dam now, and then you can see above the Jamuna, and then afterwards there is no water. Not even one drop of water in the Jamuna bed, in the original Jamuna bed. But then there's a canal from the side, and which, because they're using the water of the Jamuna, is coming in a canal, and then later on is going back in the Yamuna bed. But then afterwards, from the different villages and cities, the wastewater is going inside the Yamuna bed. And that is the Yamuna river. And then we're taking bath. Of course, we try to be transcendental, and we always see Yamuna, but there's not much Yamuna water there usually. And a lot of water which is there from the different nalis, from the sewage water which is there. But now, because of excess rain, so they had to open the dam, and there's so much water, and now Jamuna is so beautiful, very beautiful. And we can take nice bath, and we can even drink the water. When I first came here in 1980, we used to drink the water, we used to take bath, we could see the ground. We used to take water to bathe the deities, for cooking for the deities. Now we cannot think of that, except now we can, but otherwise not possible. So because of the effect of the persons who are coming here who are not completely situated on the transcendental plane, and they have the material consciousness, and of course due to the influence of time, the age of Kali is very quickly advancing, and the so-called material advancement is there, which is not really very conducive for spiritual advancement. So materially speaking, everyone may be comfortable, AC is there, and easily you can get whatever you want. But spiritually speaking, so it is not always very advantageous. If there is too much comfort, then one forgets the Supreme Lord. So therefore it is recommended that at certain times, like during Chaturmas, and specifically now in Purushottam Mas, we should perform some austerity, and we should do something more for Krishna. So we should chant more if possible, serve more, recite some prayers, like some devotees as we are doing here in the temple in the evening, chanting the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, or Jagannath Ashtakam, or Chora Ashtakam, describing Krishna who is the Supreme Lord, who is nirdosh, without any fault, but he is addressed as a thief, as a transcendental thief. So according to the pastime, and that is appreciated. But in Tattva, in truth, Krishna, everything belongs to Krishna. So whatever he wants, he can take. So no question of being a thief. But in the pastime, it is there, and Krishna is glorified for that. So it is a covering here of the holy word. But Krishna is always transcendental, and similarly the pure devotees, they are also transcendental. They are not affected. Although there is a difference between the Supreme Lord always and the Jiva, even though they may be pure devotee, the Nitya Siddha, the Parikar, the associates of the Lord, but there is a difference. So they are part and parcels of Krishna also, and they may be empowered, but they are not Vibhu. Like Krishna is unlimited, they are Anu, infinitesimal. But they may do also wonderful seva for the Lord by the mercy of the Lord. But the point is that they are not affected by the modes of material nature. Although something they can feel, just like, for example, we can see Krishna, so he's completely free for the modes of material nature, is always transcendental. And even when Krishna was 125 years old, he didn't have black hair, or like we are. I'm just 60. And already white hair are here, and the body is really slowly but surely falling apart, cannot run so fast anymore. And then the memory is also, we're forgetting things in old age. Before I used to chant so many shlokas, doing my puja of the Bhagavad Gita, the 5th, 7th, 9th, 12th, 15th chapter. I could easily remember, but now I'm forgetting verses. Even I try to practice, but how much we can practice, and then just the body is deteriorating. So even we can see a pure devotee like Prabhupada or other great personalities, Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, so they were always transcendental, but then old age is coming. And then at a certain point, then you have to decrease, and ultimately you cannot do much. But you can see like Prabhupada, he was practically, well, we may say on the deathbed, he was ready to give up the body. He was not dying, he was giving up the body. And very frail, but still, at one point devotees were saying, let Prabhupada, please stay with us, and you have to preach still more. We are so new in Krishna consciousness. And they asked him to go to England, or maybe to America, and they invited him. And although Prabhupada was very weak physically, but still the determination was there to spread Krishna consciousness. And then he still went to England, but then afterwards he had to come back because he saw that it is not possible anymore. And then at one point here also he wanted, he's preparing to give up the body, and he was expressing also in regards to Giriraj, taking shelter of Giriraj, who is the best of all the devotees of Krishna. Hantam adrir abala haridasya varya. Srimati Radharani, she is actually the most exalted of Krishna's associates. And from her lotus mouth this verse emanated, that this Giriraj is the best of Krishna's devotees, always ready to serve Krishna and all the Brijabasis. So Prabhupada was expressing, as the previous acharyas, that we should take shelter of Giriraj. And so because he has love for Krishna. So Krishna is Vishai Vigraha. He is Prananath, Aradhya Dev, Upasya Dev, Aradhya Bhagavan. So we are worshipping Krishna. But then Giriraj, so he has the love, he is Ashray Vigraha. He has love for Krishna. Of course, Srimati Radharani, she is the supreme Ashray Vigraha, the reservoir, the abode of love for Krishna. The most exalted love is found in the personality of Srimati Radharani, Mahabhav. But she herself, and that is the nature of the pure devotee, or the greatest devotee, the greatest associate. Seeing that I am not able to serve Krishna properly, but then seeing that everyone else is serving Krishna. So the acharyas have recommended also to take shelter of Giriraj. Even Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Lord, but he came as a devotee. He received one time a Govardhan Shila from Sanatana Goswami, who had gone to Braj, and he came back and he gave him a Govardhan Shila and a Gunjamala. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very respectfully put Giriraj on his forehead and offered prayers. And then he was bathing the Shila with the tears from his eyes, how he was doing puja. Like we're ringing the bell and we have a conch and we're bathing Giriraj, offering incense. But he was doing with prem, the highest form of prem, because he's there as in the mood of Srimati Radharani. So, and seeing Giriraj as Krishna, is Krishna but is a devotee of Krishna also. Like Mahaprabhu is Krishna but he came as a devotee also. And so then he gave the Shila to Raghunath Das Goswami, and he told him that Giriraj is Sakshat Brajendra Nandan Shyam Sundar is Krishna himself. So you should put the Gunja Mala that is representing Srimati Radharani. You put around Giriraj. Now you can hardly find these Gunja berries. Before even him, by Krishna's mercy, I have a little place here to stay. And so in my garden there I also had naturally they're coming, the Gunja plant. So with the small berries and not far, now of course because there are so many buildings. So there were so many bushes of these Gunja berries. And it is just like the beans, and you take out and then you have the peas. Very small, red, white or black and white or completely red. Very small, and they are soft. When they are soft you can string them and make a small garland, then they become hard. So that is representing Srimati Radharani, according to the Acharyas. So then he told him also you should worship Giriraj by bathing him, and then you may offer incense and ghee lamp, and then you offer him some sandesh, and also you should offer tulsi manjaris. And when you offer the tulsi manjari, should be 2 tulsi leaves with the manjari. So but he himself was just bathing with the tears of his eyes. But then, because he was propagating the chanting of the holy names, and as a sannyasi, so he wanted to be free to chant the holy names. So he didn't keep the Shila for a long time, but he gave to Raghunath Goswami. And Raghunath Goswami worshipped him every day. And and even the Govardhan Chila which Mahaprabhu gave to Raghunath Goswami is still here. And you can see the thumb imprint, because just like when Krishna, he was going different places in Braj, Charan Pahari, on the different hills. And when Krishna was there, then the hill becomes sometimes ecstatic and then melting. And you can see Krishna's footprints in different places. At Nandagaon and different places. So because of Krishna's touch. So, and Mahaprabhu saw also, he touched Giriraj and Giriraj melted. And you can see the thumb imprint. So and also Mahaprabhu, when he was feeling separation from Jagannath, he went to Alalanath after Snan Yatra. Because we cannot take darshan of Jagannath, so he could not see, and then he went there to Alalanath. Although Vishnu is there, but Vishnu is the expanded form of Krishna. Just like here we are discussing about Vishnu is expanded form of Krishna or of Mahaprabhu, ultimately. So he saw Vishnu, and then he was somewhat pacified because he could remember Jagannath and Krishna. But then just next to the temple, one time he was just feeling so much separation, and he was crying in separation. So if one is crying in bliss, then one is still cool, the body is cool, and the tears are cool coming from the eyes. But in separation, viraha bhav, then the fire of separation, one is feeling so much agony, transcendental agony, which is, of course it is also transcendental and sweet. But just like if you have hot sweet rice, I mean you can burn your mouth. Or if you put some salt inside the sweet rice, then it is a little different taste is there, and then you may not appreciate. So in the feelings of separation, love is there for Krishna, but due to this fire of separation, and so much heat is there in the body, being separated from Krishna. And then so Mahaprabhu his body was hot, and the tears coming from the eyes were also hot. So he fell to the ground, and because his body was hot, also the stone there melted, and you can still see now. The pujaris there, they show you. See, Mahaprabhu's body was there, he fell, and because of his ecstasy, the stone melted due to viraha bhav, feelings of separation, you can see. So you can see in Radha Gokulananda temple, they say they have the original Govardhan Chila. There's another place here, nearby, near Fogel Ashram there. They also said they have the original. So there are 2 original. So one of them is really the original. So you can see both, and then you will see definitely one original, like in Radha Damodar. There's two Radha Damodar temples here in Vrindavan and one in Jaipur. So because one time the Muslims, they came and they wanted to destroy the deities. So the king of Jaipur, Mancheng, he took the original deities to Jaipur and established them there, Radha Govinda, Radha Damodar, Radha Gopinath. So Radha Damodar is there, the original form of Damodar, small form, this big, and which was actually carved by Rupa Goswami himself, and he gave it is said he gave to Jiva Goswami. And then there they have in both places, they have a Giriraj, Giri Govardhan, and you can see the footprint of Krishna also, because he was ecstatic, and so then you can see the imprint of the flute. So the flute was in Krishna's hand, so it must be also hot when he was feeling separation from Radharani and Krishna. So although he's Param Purush and he's always Atmaram, Aptakam, self-satisfied, but in the pastime he also becomes so much overwhelmed by transcendental emotions, and in regards to the relationship especially with the gopis and Srimati Radharani, that sometimes he's feeling so much separation also, and then he's crying in separation also. So anyhow, so the flute also fell on the ground at Govardhan, and you can also see the flute's imprint is there. So they are both in the Radha Damodar temple here, which the deities are there, and they are known as Pratibhu. So when Mancheng from Jaipur, the king of Jaipur, took the original deities, then later on they made other deities of Radha Gopinath, Radha Govinda, Radha Damodar, and established them. So the present deities here, they are known as Pratibhu. They are expanded form of the original form. Even they have them in Radhakund, because when he was going to Jaipur, on the way, so he was passing through Govardhan, and he stayed there for a few hours. And the deities were there for a few hours, so therefore they established the same deities also at Radhakund of Radha Damodar, Radha Gopinath, Radha Madan Mohan, Govinda Dev, Jaipur. So Krishna and Mahaprabhu's pastimes are most wonderful. And so the point was about Giriraj. So Prabhupada was expressing, because the Acharyas, they recommended to take shelter of Giriraj also. There's one book by Raghunath Das Goswami, Manashiksha, Instructions to the Mind. So the mind can be the best friend or the worst enemy. In the beginning of Krishna consciousness, is usually the enemy, and actually the worst enemy. We don't have a bigger enemy than our own mind. But in purifying consciousness, then the mind becomes the best friend. But you have to train the mind. You have to preach to your own mind. And then you can preach to others also. And he's recommending Guru Goste Gostali Susajan Bu Surgan Swamantra Sri Nanni Navayodvande Sharane Sadadamba Hitva. So he's explaining Guru Rati Matipurvam, that my dear mind, I'm begging to you, I'm touching your feet. Because sometimes, and the mind is, if he is a friend, like we can see you, you can be my friend, but somebody can be the enemy also. And so that means a form is there. So he's seeing the mind as his friend, and my brother, he's saying my brother, but because they are in this body, the gross body, the subtle body is there. Of the false ego, I'm something special. That's the elder brother. And the younger brother is the mind. So, of course, we have to preach to both of them, the false ego and the mind also. And we have to pray for transcendental intelligence in order to advance and reject the material intelligence. He's saying, my dear mind, I'm begging to you, I'm touching your feet. Please, you give up pride, your pride. Sada damba hitva. Damba means pride. Sada, always. Hitva, you give up. Thinking that you're something special. You're nothing. We are nothing. We are an infinitesimal spiritual being. The 10,000 part of a tip of a hair, that is our size of the Atma in the beginning. Of course, once we are in purified consciousness, then our transcendental nature will manifest with a loving relationship with Krishna. So then he's explaining there that, my dear mind, you please take shelter of Guru, Goste. Gosta means the village of Braj, and then all the Brijbasis, and you respect all the Brahmanas, especially Bhusurgan. They're known as the Devatas of the Devas of this earthly planet, the Brahmanas. They should be respected, and all the saintly persons, those who engage in spiritual activities, they should be respected. And then you take shelter of Sri Nam, the holy names, the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And Swa Mantra. Swa Mantra means the Gayatri. So there's Krishna Gayatri, so non different from Krishna. And there's Gauranga Gayatri, non different from Mahaprabhu. Even there's a Gayatri for Nityananda, there's a Gayatri for Radharani, Gayatri for Vishnu, Gayatri for Narayan, Gayatri for Nrsingadeva, and so on. So non different for Lakshmi Devi also. So we should carefully chant the Gayatri mantras, Yasyas Trisandhyam, and especially we have to chant nicely the Maha Mantra. And then we can advance, and we take shelter of the divine couple, Radha Krishna. And then the second verse is explaining, and we take shelter of Mahaprabhu. And then also, he's saying, Raghunath Das Goswami, every day you should also remember Sarup Damodar, who is the confidential associate of Mahaprabhu, who is Lalita Devi in Krishna Lila. And when Mahaprabhu was in Puri, no one could go to Mahaprabhu without the permission of Sarup Damodar. I mean, we want to go to Mahaprabhu, right? We want to join the Lila of Mahaprabhu. So we have to remember Sarup Damodar. Then we can approach Mahaprabhu. And then also he's explaining, you take shelter of Rupa Goswami. And Prabhupada also has explained, we are known as Rupanuga Vaishnavas. And that all our acharyas, so they have explained, we are following Rupa Goswami, who was the confidential associate of Mahaprabhu and Srimati Radharani. And then he's explaining further on what to do and what to not to do, and then he's explaining every day we should worship Giriraj. Of course, not everyone can keep Giriraj Shila, but those who have had, those who can, they are fortunate. But at least we should also remember Giriraj and offer respect to Giriraj. Because every day, the Gopas and the Gopis are going there to Giriraj, and they're playing there. So we want to also join Krishna in his pastimes at Govardhan, and especially then the Gopis. Radha Kund and Shama Kund, they are situated at Govardhan. And every day, Radha Krishna are meeting there, and the Gopis in Radharani's group, they are there. So we want to go there. So we have to respect Giriraj. Namaste Girirajaya Si Govardhana Namine Ashesha Klesha Nashaya Paramananda Daine. So we offer respect to Giriraj, whose name is Govardhan also. Ashesha Klesha Nashaya. We have so many difficulties in life, in conditioned state. Adhyatmika, Devika, Bhautik, Klesh. And we are lamenting this problem, that problem. Even myself, I have to face so many problems every day. In the management, with the pujaris, quarreling with each other. What to do? But we have to tolerate, and we have to take shelter of Giriraj, of Mahaprabhu and Radhesham, of Srila Prabhupada. Ashesha Klesha Nasha, especially Giriraj. He can Nasha, he can destroy all the difficulties. Paramananda Dayane, and we want to be happy. And so the bliss of Krishna consciousness, he can easily give, because he is always serving Krishna, is feeling the greatest bliss. So, Giriraj Maharaj ki. So we almost finished, it's 9 o'clock. We were just telling about Prabhupada. He, because he knew the Siddhanta of our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, so he's expressed the desire to go to Govardhan. And he was just 1 month before he was leaving, and the devotees and even the Vaidya, he was saying, no, he cannot go. His body is so frail. He may leave the body on the way. So we cannot, everybody, and mostly they were saying, no, he cannot go. But then Prabhupada also told Lokanath Maharaj, no, you make the bullock cart ready. And he made it ready. Okay, Prabhupada bullock cart is ready. We can go now. Come, everything is ready. But then the other devotees, no, Prabhupada, you cannot go. Transcendental disagreement was there. But now we have to follow Prabhupada's order. No, we cannot allow that. But then finally, Prabhupada also said, okay, everyone is saying we should not go, so we should not go. I will not go now. So he was showing that also we have to take shelter of Giriraj, take shelter of Srimati Radharani, the associates of the Lord, and then we can attain love for Krishna. But you could see that Prabhupada, he was very frail, but still, because he was always transcendental, but he was not able to function physically much, but still he was very strong in his consciousness. He was there on the bed, about to leave the body, and he was speaking still the Bhagavatam, the 14th chapter with the 10th canto, the prayers of Lord Brahma. He was dictating. They were keeping the dictaphone there, and they were listening very carefully what Prabhupada is saying. And he was dictating, word by word, very softly. So he was completely focused and fixed, despite his body already, although the body is transcendental, but still, the modes of material nature are there to some extent. And therefore, even in the winter, Prabhupada, he was wearing a sweater or a chadar, and he had a Swami hat, because it's cold and he was feeling cold. But it was not stopping his seva, never. Or in the heat also. Now we need AC, without AC we cannot live. But Prabhupada didn't have AC. When we first came, we didn't have AC. And then it's difficult, but still he was tolerating Prabhupada because he was fixed. And so he was not so affected by the modes of material nature, and he was always, as mentioned here in the verse, here, Atmastair, always transcendently situated. So the Supreme Lord, and as indicated here, the pure devotee is always transcendently situated. But the Supreme Lord, when he is even 100 years old, 125, still looking, Krishna was looking when he was on the battlefield, he was 90 years old, but still looking very young, like a young man of 25 years old. Even though he was 120 years old, he was still looking young. Black, beautiful hair. Very effulgent, because he's completely free from the modes of material nature. Whereas a pure devotee, to some extent, is affected by the modes of material nature. In the terms of that the memory is getting weaker, even of a pure devotee. He needs glasses also. And then he cannot walk much, but is always transcendently situated. That we have to understand. And that is the point here of this verse and purport. Srila Prabhupada ki, Sachinandana Gaura Hari ki, Swayam Bhagavan Sri Krishna ki, Gau Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Krishna Kirtana Gana Natana